Here we have the Koine 3.1, which is two-function. It could act as a pump or a continuous pump. Today we're going to go over using it as a pump, which means that we're mixing in a separate mixer, pouring the material into the hopper, and using it just as a regular pump. Got our 220, 30, 40 line coming in. We're going to power it on. This is the main switch. It's going to go through its diagnostic. Blue light means that we have adequate power. This says the speed that we're set at. Red light means that there's an error, which is, in this case, that. We will go in reverse to reset it. Okay. This we have a dry mode, wet mode. And when we refer to dry mode or wet mode, in this position 1, we would use it as a continuous mixer pump, where we're putting just dry bags of material like self-leveling, fireproofing, pre-blended product already in the bag. And all we have to do is set the speed, set the water, and it'll mix and pump continuously. On materials that require more mixing time, we would have to mix it in a separate mixer, and in this case we could use the pump portion of this to just be a pump. So 2 means that we're in wet mode. Here we have speed up, speed down. The maximum speed is 70. Up until 40, it'll go increments of 5. And this is the frequency that it's operating at. These are hertz, it's not RPMs. So when we go all the way up to 70, it's operating at 70 hertz. An inverter changes the frequencies up and down instead of changing voltage. So the frequencies changing the frequency changes also the rotation of the motor, the RPMs of the motor. So here we would operate just as a normal pump. If we had a compressor mounted here, it would be sitting in this cradle. It would be plugged into here. We have our switch for the compressor. We have a 1.5 and a 2.5, which indicates 1.5 bar and 2.5 bar. The reason for this is there's 2 separate compressors that are available with this one. There is a compressor that will do about 45 psi, and then there's a compressor that does about 80, 90 psi. Don't quote me on those numbers. The reason that we have this lever here to go 1.5 or 2.5 is to use the gun. So air hooks up to the gun. The valve will turn the airflow on. Once the airflow is on, it triggers this sensor to turn the pump on. So when we have on the lower volume air, and usually for most applications you don't need a lot of air, so when it's set to 1.5 bar, it'll kick off. When I close the gun, it will kick off and stop the pump. When I open it again, it'll allow it to open and kick the pump back on, as long as I'm in the forward position. It will indicate also the word stop when it's waiting for me to open the air valve. So the air connects to the front of the machine. There's an air connection. You would have your air line hooked from here to there. So when it comes to using this as a pump, all we need to know is on 2, we can set the desired speed. Basically, at full speed, it's going to pump more than 2 bags per minute of product. For spraying, it might be too fast, where you would just reduce the speed to match your comfort level or the speed that's required. If you have any blockages, or if the pressure gauge shows a jam, and this panel will also show different faults. There's some error codes that would indicate that the motor overheated, or the inverter overheated, or there's a block, or when you work in dry mode, if somebody killed the water on you or there's not enough water supply. So the panel will give you some codes. You'll find that in your owner's manual of what those codes mean and how to rectify them. So as I mentioned, this pump will work anywhere between 190 and 260 volts. If it's below 190 volts, it will give you an error code. If it's above 260 volts, it will immediately shut down to prevent the internal circuitry from burning up. So that's the two ways that you know, and it's quite common sometimes where people connect a ground where a hot wire should be, or vice versa. So if you do that, you're only getting 125 volts to the machine if you crisscross the wires, and the machine will tell you that there's a problem there, that the voltage is too low. Or if you plug this into 480 volts, it will immediately blink on and off. So those are the steps to use it in wet mode. All these other buttons here, this is to release water from the water pump. This lets you know that you have sufficient water. And of course, the red light indicates when you have a fault or a failure. So what we have here, this red light indicator. If I remove the grill, it's a red light, an error 00, which indicates that this grill was removed and no longer making contact with the sensor. Even after I replace it, still shows error 00, and there's a faint beeping noise. I would reverse it in reverse, just tap it in reverse, and it will reset the machine. So when I am ready to pump, forward, and I can reduce the speed. If I was in dry mode, as you see, this changed to speed 6. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It only has 6 speeds, not all the way through 7. In this case, if I try and pump H2O, I don't have any water hooked up here. Dry mode, useful for pre-blended material that doesn't require a long mix. So stuccos, grouts, fireproofing, mortar, self-leveling, other product that is very simple. On a very sophisticated product, such as your overhead repair mortars, or a product that has a lot of polymers and plasticizers that need a long mixing time and shear time, we'd have to go to wet mode. Wet mode works as a standard pump. Here, if we open up the chamber, we can see that this needs to align with this. This is the drive shaft, this is the mixing paddle, but in the case of using it in wet mode, this only acts as a shaft. We apply pre-mixed material directly into this hopper. As you can see, on this side, when I open up, no longer making contact, I have to reset the machine. Show you this again. If automatically stops the pump. It will not start again until I reset it. It'll go through its cycle, and now it's ready.